This topic is very dear to my heart because in that video I want to share with you a vision for an education system which could be brought about in the future, that our children of the world learn to know about themselves. I'm not sure if you also had the feeling as you have gone through your education system that there is something wrong, something which is not taught, but from fundamental importance to know your soul. You have a physical, emotional, and mental body, and what's the purpose of being here on planet Earth? And that is, on ponder on this, there is such a great vision of an education system which is based on love and based on you as a being, as a soul, not just man-made flesh and blood. And that's my dear intent, to share with you that vision and to bring about change and uplift in our educational system. In the educational world, an apprehension of man's true nature will bring about fundamental change in the methods of teaching. The emphasis will be laid upon teaching people the fact of the ego. Ego is mentioned, the soul. On its own plane, the nature of lunar bodies and the methods of aligning the lower bodies so that the ego can communicate direct with the physical body and thus control the lower nature and work out its purposes. Men will be taught how through communication and meditation they can ascertain knowledge for themselves, can develop intuition and thus draw upon resources of the ego. Then will men be taught to think, to assume control of the mental body and thus develop their latent powers. It's giving our children like the information about those different bodies, learning how to align them, how to gain control of the lower nature, like the physical or the emotional nature, so that they can develop intuition and also develop their mental bodies, so they can have greater access to their latent power, which is within each and every being. True education is consequently the science of linking up the integral parts of man and also linking him up in turn with his immediate environment and then with the greater whole in which he has to play his part. Each aspect regarded as a lower aspect can ever be simply the expression of the next higher. In this phrase I have expressed a fundamental truth which embodies not only the objective but also indicates the problem where all interest before all interested in education. This problem is to gauge rightly the center of the focus of a man's attention and to note where the consciousness is primarily centered. Then he must be trained in such a way that a shift of that focus into a higher vehicle becomes possible. So meaning maybe from your astral nature, mostly driven by emotion, that it can be raised above to the mental plane. We can also express this idea in an equally true manner by saying that the vehicle which seems of paramount importance can become and should become a secondary importance, as it becomes simply the instrument of which is higher than itself. Towards this consummation, all education should tend response to the thinker or the soul, With the registration of the response, the man enters into his kingdom, means consciousness. The above and the below become as one, means your higher soul and your lower part, they become one. The objective and the subjective worlds are unified. Soul and its mechanism function as one. The Atlantean had no educational system as we understand the term. The kings and the priests intuited, the masses obeyed. The world itself is a great fusing pot out of which the one humanity is emerging. The necessity, a drastic change in our methods of presenting history and geography. Science has always been universal. Great art and literature have always belonged to the world. It is upon the facts that the educational system to be given to the children of the world must be built upon similarities. Our creative achievement, our spiritual idealism, and our points of contact. Unless this is done, the wounds of the nation will never be healed, and the barriers which have existed for centuries will never be removed. That means it's so fundamental. We bring about change in our education system and receive the vision and the message of these important teachings. Two major ideas should be taught to the children of every country. They are the value of the individual and the fact of the one humanity. Because if they know they are the soul and we are all one, how much different would the world look like today? The first effort of the education to civilize the children will be to train and rightly direct his instincts. The second obligation upon the educators will be to bring about his true culture by training him to use his intelligence rightly. The third duty of education will be to evoke and to develop the intuition. When these three are developed and functioning, you will have a civilized, cultured, and spiritually awake human being. A man will then be instinctively corrected, intellectually sound, and intuitively aware. His soul, his mind, and his brain will function as they should in a right relation to each other, thus again producing coordination and correct alignment. One of our immediate educational objectives must be the elimination of the competitive spirit and the substitution of the cooperative consciousness. True importance. What should be the effect on the part of parents and educators? First and above everything else, there should be made to provide the atmosphere where certain qualities can flourish and emerge. First, an atmosphere of love, where the fear is cast out and the child realizes he has no cause for timidity, shyness, or caution, and one which he receives courteous treatment at the hands of others, and is expected also to render equally courteous treatment in return. Love always draws forth what is best in child and man. Second, an atmosphere of patience where the child can become normally and naturally a seeker after the light of knowledge, where he is sure of always meeting with a quick response to inquiry and careful reply to all questions, and where here there is never the sense of speed or hurry. This impatience on the parts of those upon whom they are so patently dependent sow in them the seeds of irritation, and more lives are ruined by irritation than can be counted. An atmosphere, third one, an atmosphere of ordered activity, where the child can learn the first rudiments of responsibility. The child who are coming into incarnation at this time and who can profit by the new type of education are necessarily on the very verge of soul consciousness. One of the first indications of such soul contact is rapidly developing sense of responsibility. This should be careful prone in mind, for the shouldering of small duties and sharing of responsibilities, which is always concerned with some form of group relation. It is a potent factor in determining a child's character and future vocation. And the fourth one, an atmosphere of understanding, where a child is always sure that the reason and motives for his action will be recognized, and that those who are his older associates will always comprehend the nature of his motivating impulses, even though they may not always approve of what he does or of his activities. It is the older generation who foster in a child an early and most unnecessarily sense of guilt, sinfulness, and wrongdoing. So much emphasis is laid upon petty little things that are not really wrong, but are annoying to the parent or to the teacher, that a true sense of wrong, which is the recognition of failure to preserve right relationship within the group, gets overlaid and is not recognized for what it is. The many small and petty sins imposed upon the children by the constant reiteration of no, by the use of the word naughty, and based upon parental failure to understand and occupy the child, are no real moments. If these aspects of the child's life are rightly handled, then the truly wrong things, the infringements upon the right of others, the hurting or damaging of others in order to achieve personal gain, will emerge in right perspective and at the right time. In the future, education will make a far wider use of psychology than heretofore. A better educational system should therefore be worked out, which will present the possibilities of human living in such a manner that barriers will be broken down, prejudices removed, and a training given to developing a child which will enable him, when growing up, to live with other men in harmony and goodwill. This can be done if patience and understanding are developed, and if educators release that where there is no vision, the people perish. That's such an important topic we need to talk about, because as it was said, the vision and the true what is coming out of our humanity is laid upon our younger generation, how we bring about the change to create an education system where love is at the center and where understanding, patience, and the spirit of unity is cultivated, so that those children can develop to a spiritual man with right understanding, right knowledge, right harmony within their relationship, and also having a true understanding of their own spiritual body, of their lower nature aspect, gaining the control of them, and so raising their consciousness to a higher aspect. So having an intuitive and rational mind and becoming a fully integrated human being that is able to function in the right relation. And it seems like a tremendous task, but with the group spirit and the right people, such a change can be brought about, and it needs the people who hold the visions, who are in an educational system, and who can really bring forth the change, so we can cultivate the individualization of the soul and the one humanity, and that basically love prevails again. And it's my wish for you to bring into you that vision, that inner side of what is the new age about, and what changes are necessary for human evolution to continue in a more loving way. And with that, maybe you find the people and the places and you share this message, so that we can bring forth an education system to our children which is based on love, patience, harmony, and the unified spirit of our soul. Take care, and I wish you well.